if you go to a doctor, to a really good doctor, usually what he's gonna do is he's only going to prescribe you once he exactly knows what problems you have, what hurts. Like, for example, let's say you have a headache. A doctor's gonna ask you, did you drink enough? Did you do that? Did you do that? And like, I'm not a doctor, so I don't know all the questions, but he's gonna ask you a lot. And then based on that, he's going to try and figure out what is wrong with you. And quite frankly, it's exactly the same thing with A/B testing. If you want to run an A/B test to, let's say, increase your conversion rate, you first of all really need to understand why people actually are not buying. And to quickly get you on board, what my thought process is every time I run an A/B test, I come up with an hypothesis. It starts out with, no, I need to find it. Where is it? Here we go. It starts out with this behavioral model right now. So let's try and connect it to the doctor example. A doctor simply wants to fix how you feel. Like, you have a headache and he wants to make you feel not having a headache. So for example, in a doctor just simply wants to get you from a bad state to a good state. Now, for consumers and buying products, it's a little bit different because it's not based on pain. Like, it indirectly has some of the products you buy them for pain, but usually a buying decision happens for two reasons. You have enough motivation to do something, for example, buy new underwear, and then the ability. Ability is how easy is it to do with your hands, like just motorically, how much do you have to think, how hard is it to think about the purchasing decision, and then do you have the money or can you finance it? And if the motivation and ability are mismatching, people are not going to buy. And the core thing that we have to do when we do A/B tests is we have to understand and figure out what is this magic thing we can use to trigger a user from not buying to buying. If a doctor is trying to fix a headache, he's probably going to give you ibuprofen. If you have a broken leg, depending on how broken it is, he's either going to decide, okay, we need to do surgery on you, or he's just going to put you in a cast for some months and it's going to go altogether by its own. So for A/B testing, we really need to understand that. And I just found something on actually Wikipedia I really wanted to share that helps a lot. And at first glance, this is going to look very complex right now, but don't be afraid of that. So what this right here is the so-called cognitive bias codex. It has almost, I also put the link in here. If you wanted the ME cognitive bias codex, I'll send it over to you. But what I pretty much found is this paragraph, or like this diagram, with all the different behavior patterns. And I think I need to explain that really quick. Every single time we make a decision, a lot of it is subconsciously. Like 90% of the decisions we do, they happen subconsciously. So you have no idea why they're actually happening, but they're heavily influenceable. And there's a lot of science on that and a lot of different directions. I'm not going to go in depth into that. Like, just feel free, go into it. And like, if you go onto the link and then click on it, it's also going to explain you every single bias. Biases in the brain are like shortcuts. So if you have, let's say, social proof, if a product has 5,000 reviews, your brain automatically going to be like, oh, 5,000 reviews, okay, I don't have to be worried about trust. Like, it's just a checkbox, and it's just helping you as a human being to make decisions fast and efficient without burning out, making a simple decision. But now for the thing, a doctor has to decide, okay, do I give a cast, or do I give a pill, or do I do surgery? What we do in testing, and every single time that should be done, is we use hypotheses. But I think most people do not really understand the importance of hypotheses and how a good hypothesis can make a great A/B test. So usually what most people just would start out is this format. If we do something, let's say, I'm just gonna write it. If we do X, Y, Z, then metric, let's just do conversion rate for this example. Then the conversion rate will increase. because, and then usually they just are like, because social proof, or like whatever, because social proof. And most people heavily miss out on what the meaning of the hypothesis is. So let's think again to the doctor. What does a doctor do? He asks questions, he's analyzing, he's trying to figure out where does the problem lie. And that is what you always should do before you actually come to the hypothesis. You sort of should do research and figure out, I'm just gonna put it, figure out what problems users actually have in completing their purchasing decision. And that is the first part you have to do. Now let's say we're taking, I don't have any screenshots here, so we're taking a shop that sells fashion. Then in fashion, probably your findings would be something like, that's just an example, for a fashion brand. So you go here, and then what you would have, you probably would have something like problems with sizing. Then some other things after problems with sizing could be what happens with returns. Like these probably would be the topics you mostly would encounter. And then what you would do with that, if you really want to do the hypothesis right, you would try to base it on the research you have and not simply putting in, if we add a size guide, then conversion rate is going to increase because XYZ, but you're going to get very, very in-depth. So for example, let's say problems with sizing, and maybe we have some more in-depth. People are unsure about what size they should get, or maybe you see something like they switched often from size M to S. And now what we would do, and like what I usually do, is I would go in there and would be like, if we, like that's for example a test that you have, add a notch after users have switched the size, that tells how often in percentage probably, in percentage, this product, oh, you're running out of space here. This product is kept versus returned. Then the conversion rate will increase. And now what I would do is I would go in here and try to figure out what the behavioral problem is. And the behavioral problem here is uncertainty. Will this fit for me? And how can you counteract this uncertainty? One option would be you are doing social proof. So you could be like, add a pop-up that says, out of 2,500 people that purchased this product in the last, let's say, 2 months, only 25 have returned it due to problems with their sizing. And then what you would do is like, you would go in here and look for where social proof and dig deep and read about the different behavioral tactics. It's a little bit like, I would need a much longer time to do the hypothesis grade. But you pretty much try to first figure out, okay, what's the actual behavioral problem? Then you try to find a solution, and then now the hypothesis would be very detailed because, like, this product kept was returned. It probably would be something like, because first of all, showing all of the orders publicly will give the potential users trust that the brand is trustworthy. And second of all, probably would have something like, I don't know, that I wouldn't need to transparent. See, I don't have the exact name for this pattern in my head right now, But there's something with transparency bias that pretty much says if you have like nothing to hide, also increases trust. And this is pretty much how you do hypotheses, and why it's so important to do this part before that, to really understand what you actually want to change, and then using the insights to craft a hypothesis that's actually based on behavioral problems and not only a simple rip-off hypothesis. I hope this video helped you. If you need anything or any help with that or the link, DM me Cognitive Bias Codex, I'll send you the link, and maybe even the link to the Figma board here if you need it. So hope you learned something, hope you enjoyed it, and have a good one.